Hey everyone, thanks so much for joining us here on 9 News Plus. I'm Chris Bianchi and joined by our 9 News medical expert and extraordinaire, Dr. Payal Kohli, for a look at heat exhaustion, what you can do. It's obviously the middle of summer now, so what you can do to protect yourself and make sure you avoid heat stroke, heat exhaustion, and a few tips on that. But first of all, Dr. Kohli, is heat exhaustion as simple as it sounds? Is it just your body basically overheating?
You know, it sort of is, Chris, but I don't want to say that it's just exhaustion because it's so much more than that. It's your body essentially going into a stress response because the temperature is getting too high. And so our body does a really nice job of regulating our temperature, which keeps our organs happy, our brain, our heart, the electricity in our heart, our lungs, our kidneys. When that gets dysregulated, things can fall off kilter very quickly. And that can happen much more quickly than people realize. With just, even a few minutes in the extreme heat can lead to dehydration and can lead to heat exhaustion, which can sneak up on you and people may not even realize that they're having it.
So what are those early signs of heat exhaustion?
Yeah, so sometimes you just feel very thirsty, first of all, because usually, you need more water. You feel your heart racing. You can feel dizzy or lightheaded. You can feel queasy or nauseated. You can have a headache. And, sometimes you're like, oh, I just spent too much time in the heat and that's why I have a headache. But those are actually the earliest signs that your body may be going into that stress response, responding to that excess in temperature.
So what does your body do? So when you say your body's going into that stress, what is your body actually doing?
Yeah, so basically the way our body gives off heat, and we have a little sensor in our head that regulates our body's temperature. So when the temperature gets too hot in our body, just like with a fever, our sensor kind of kicks into overdrive and tries really hard to open up all the blood vessels and basically release the heat. So it vasodilates. So that's why our skin feels so warm when we're feeling warm, because they're trying to lose heat through the skin, essentially. But what that also does is it causes what we call insensible losses. By opening up the blood vessels, by breathing a little heavier and faster to try to give off some of that heat as well and cool ourselves, we're losing water, which then propagates the cycle, because then you start to get dehydrated. And when you're dehydrated, then your heart pumps even harder and faster, and that can cause more heat from inside, which can then cause more vasodilation, more dehydration. So you get caught in that cycle, essentially, where the body's trying to compensate, but by compensating and trying to give off heat, it's actually causing the problem to get worse, causing dehydration to get worse. So you have to interrupt that cycle.
Very interesting. I mean, not pleasant,
Physiology
but
lesson.
Interesting
Yeah.
down effect. What is the difference between heat exhaustion and a heat stroke?
So it's the same illness on different spectrums. When you're getting to heat stroke, your temperature is greater than 104. It's a life-threatening emergency. And think about it like a fever. When your body temperature gets too high, you can have a seizure, you can have a cardiac arrest, you can have permanent neurological damage. All of those things can happen with heat stroke as well in the extreme. So you never want to let it get to that point. At the earliest signs of heat exhaustion, which is your body kind of starting that compensatory mechanism, you want to interrupt it so it doesn't get to the point where you heat stroke, where the body is just kind of, I can't do anymore, it's given up, and that's a life-threatening emergency.
So it's a normal summer day. It's 85, 90 degrees. How do we act differently on an 85, 90 degree day versus, say, a fall day with 60 degrees?
Great question. Many different things that you can do. So the first is to keep our bodies cool. So you want to wear light, airy clothing. You don't want to wear anything too synthetic. You want to stay out of the sunlight in the kind of the hottest part of the day, which is the late morning kind of to the early evening. So if you have to go out, try to go early in the morning or late in the evening. You want to keep the body cool from the inside, and that includes drinking a lot of cool water. Sometimes people, when they're starting to have symptoms, can also put ice packs and things like that on themselves. But if you're really feeling yourself overheating, you really want to cool down the body from the outside by putting something cold on your skin, taking a cold shower. And then you want to keep your home cool. So people say in the summer, oh, I don't need the AC, or I don't need to run the AC, but it's really recommended that during the day that you don't let the temperature inside the house exceed 90, and at night you don't let it exceed 75 degrees, because it's really important to, when you're sleeping and all that, your body's regulation of heat can change.
All right, so you don't wake up in a sweat, right?
That's exactly, which happens to us sometimes. It happens to me whenever I'm in a hotel room, because that temperature just fluctuates all the time.
Yeah, that's right. Have that or a west-facing window or something, or anything like that. What should we do? So if we think we're starting to enter some of those phases that you mentioned about heat exhaustion, heat stroke, what do we do?
So the first thing is to cool yourself down quickly. So you come home, turn on the AC, you put, a cool ice pack or something on your forehead or in your armpits. That's a way to cool your temperature quickly. Also cool from the inside by drinking cold water, and plenty of it. So you want to make sure you stay hydrated, because that starts to interrupt that cycle. If it's not getting better and you're feeling like things are progressing because your symptoms are progressing, then you want to really seek medical attention pretty quickly, because then they can actually cool you using chilled saline, basically giving you fluid that's cold inside your veins.
Drink more water, I imagine, is part of it. And there's that rule, 8 glasses a day you're supposed to have?
Yeah, so let's talk about that, because 8 glasses a day may be enough for you on a regular day, but with the temperatures we've been having here in Denver, and if you're out and about, maybe you're running or exercising, you're giving off a lot more water. So you always want to adjust the amount of water you're taking in according to what you're doing. And so it shouldn't be the same amount every day, because if you're sitting at a desk all day, the amount that you might need may be a lot different than if you're out and about, especially in the heat. So I like to say 2 things tell us how much water we need to drink. One is our thirst. And that really works in young people. In older people, their thirst mechanism gets impaired as they get older. So they don't even realize that they're thirsty. Their brain doesn't signal that thirst. But for young people, thirst is a big sign that you're falling behind. You need to pick it up, okay? And then the second is the color of your urine. So you want your urine to be kind of light colored or colorless. If it's coming out medium yellow, dark yellow, you're not getting enough liquid.
Okay, so
Yeah.
just kind of listen and pay attention to your body a little bit. It's not just a steadfast rule, drink X amount, pay attention to your body. It's basically what you're saying.
Pay attention to your body and pay attention to what you're doing. So if you're doing something that's going to give off more heat, then be sure, give off more water, be sure to drink more water. Now, there is such a thing as water poisoning. So there are some people who drink and drink and drink. This is pretty rare, but you can actually drink so much that you dilute the salt in your body. So you don't want to drink to the point where the urine is completely clear, because then you might have done too much, or you're going multiple times a day. So everything in life is a balance. But on our hot days, we especially want to be mindful of our fluid intake. And this can be just water. It can be watermelon. It can be, clear tea. It can be all the different types of liquids that we have. It doesn't just have to be water.
Okay, so different kinds of water as well. What population demographic groups would be most at risk for heat exhaustion?
So this is something for us to keep in mind. So our kids, because they don't, A, always tell us when they're thirsty, and B, the way that they give off heat is a little bit different than the way that adults do. So it's important for parents to be mindful of whether their kids are drinking enough and staying cool. Our older people, especially the ones that live, in assisted living or potentially nursing homes, but even regular older people, because their thirst mechanism gets impaired. So again, really important for them. They're also sometimes on medications that can cause them to lose water, and that can be exacerbated on hot days. And then pregnant women. So it's really important for pregnant women, who can very easily have sensitivity to heat because their blood vessels already tend to be more dilated than everyone else's, that they pay attention.
All right, there you have it. Any final thoughts on heat exhaustion?
No, I just think, the summer's a really exciting time. We all want to be outside. I just came from Florida. But we know we have to listen to our bodies. And after just a few minutes outside, sometimes it's really time to take a break, go inside, drink water, hydrate, and then you can come back out and do it. But just don't just push through it, especially if you're doing exercise or something strenuous.
All right, don't push through it. Kind of tell myself that as well sometimes. Thanks, Dr. Payal Kohli. Good look there at heat exhaustion. Thanks for joining us here on 90s Plus.